Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Retailer Loyalty Means Brand Affinity, Unlocking Deeper Omnichannel Shopper Engagement. Hosted by myself, Sarah Kingham from My Digital Shelf, and presented today by Matt Blackwell from Mars, and we also have Rob Downs from Snipp Interactive. So we're really excited for this 45-minute webinar today. I'd like to remind you that you can send in any questions or comments that you have using the webinar chat room feature at any point throughout today's webinar, and we will have some time at the end to answer them. Just to note that just in case you're a bit shy, they are anonymous questions as well, so only I can see them. So please feel free to send in your raw and unfiltered questions. I'll also be sending you the webinar recording and presentation after this webinar. You'll receive an email from me within 24 hours, so do keep an eye out. Feel free to look through the recording and also send it to any colleagues who weren't able to join us live today. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our key speakers today. So first up, we have Matt Blackwell, who's the Global Digital Shopper Insights Lead at Mars. Really excited to have you here today, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks, Sarah. Great to be invited. So yeah, very eager and happy to share some insights on how we see about, well, loyalty and the world brand within that. I suppose just quickly about my role. So it's all about building the shopper understanding, expertise within the Mars organization, and I work within the Mars Wrigley part of the business. And I really sort of partner closely with the sales, category, and shopper marketing teams, making sure that they're really sort of shopper-centric, shopper-first in terms of our recommendations and activations that we take to retailers as well.
Fantastic. We're very excited to hear from you. And we also have with us today Rob Downs, who's a loyalty consultant at Snipp Interactive. How are you doing, Rob?
I'm very well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much for assistance in organising this and putting it together. I'm looking forward to discussing the questions we've got today. Every day during my work with Snipp, I talk to FMCG brands and retail brands. So it's going to be really interesting to get people's thoughts on how these two loyalty programs can combine and compete in the space.
Yes, it is. We're very excited for this, and I know you've both got some really engaging slides. I've had a sneak peek myself, so I'll hand over to you both to talk us through these slides.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the webinar, Retailer Loyalty Meets Brand Affinity. How do FMCG loyalty programs compare with retail programs, and how can they compete in a space that's seemingly dominated by retail? The UK retail loyalty landscape at a glance. We're not just seeing a rise in participation, but I think a fundamental shift in consumer expectations. Programs are no longer a nice to have, they've become the baseline. With 97% of shoppers already enrolled in at least one program, and most juggling 3 or more. What's driving this? Is it great leaps forward in mobile tech, or the cost of living crisis is telling us that loyalty is not just habitual, but becoming a need? When talking about the retail loyalty in the UK, it's impossible to ignore the giants. These have gone way beyond being cards and become ecosystems. Clubcard leads the way with a staggering 21 million users, influence a massive 80% of sales. Nectar isn't far behind with around about 18 million users across its networks. And what is exciting at the moment is the acceleration of newer entrants. Both Asda and Lidl programs are gaining traction quickly. And outside of grocery, Boots Advantage stands tall, linked to half of all transactions, showing that loyalty isn't just for essentials, but it's extending to lifestyle, beauty, and well-being. Beyond the big retailers, we're seeing FMCG brands carve out their own space in the loyalty ecosystem. Procter & Gamble's Good Every Day blends social impact with reward, offering samples or donations for receipt uploads. Yeo Valley's On-Pack Codes offering experiential perks, and we've got Cadbury's prize draws gamifying repeat purchases. With these programs, Build Community are excellent at collating critical first-party data, although they do face some friction. And compared to retailer programs, long-term engagement can be a little bit more difficult to sustain, but they do represent a unique way for brands to connect directly with consumers. Retail and FMCG loyalty programs operate differently, albeit with the same objectives. Retail loyalty is functional and habitual, driven by location, price, convenience. These programs are always on, offering cashback, discounts, supporting regular shopping routines. FMCG loyalty is more emotional. It aims to build brand love and offers more variety, experiences, social perks, personalized rewards. Many campaigns are periodic, not continuous. They offer incentivize more than purchases, like social sharing and brand interaction. So while one drives frequency and convenience, the other focuses on aspiration and emotional value. Here we highlight the structural differences. Retailers mainly reward basket value, managing the pricing to be reactive, have the scale, and always offer an omnichannel experience. Whereas FMCG programs reward individual product purchase. They lack the pricing control. They lean more towards gamification and creative engagement, aiming to reach shoppers across a broader set of touch points, even vending machines and third-party sellers. Each model, however different, plays their own strengths to achieve similar objectives.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so I thought I'd jump in here with a bit more from the brand or the manufacturer perspective and how we see. Well, I'll start with some of the challenges actually that we face as we look at loyalty, or how do we keep on our consumers and shoppers tapping into our brands and purchasing their brands. And so I think everyone joining this call knows that shoppers are omnichannel. You know, we know that all shoppers are shopping across all of the channels and moving online as they go through. I think the other aspect is that all shoppers are multi-retailer as well. So not just shopping in one retailer, they shop at many of them. And for every retailer that they have, there's probably a very good chance that they signed up to those loyalty schemes, as Rob touched upon as well. So shoppers like these schemes because it gives them good prices and often gives them prices that tailor to what they're purchasing as well. Also sort of tapping into that as well. My digital online is really great for shoppers, is that it's really convenient and it gives them lots of toolkits to help them manage their shopping. So think about filters. It's really easy for a shopper just to filter on special offers and promotions. Or the digital shelf itself, there'll often be icons on hero images saying special offers, or of course loyalty card prices as well. So it's even easier for a shopper to find the promotion versus in-store online. And so it's really sort of overemphasizing that role, which of course is, from a brand perspective, we want things to be beyond just promotion as well. Similarly, as we think about the digital shelf and that retail space as well, it doesn't really lend itself to building habits or that sort of consistent behavior of shoppers. So to be honest, if you go into physical stores in the UK, most of the confectionery aisles, they're very similar retailer by retailer with slight differences. However, if you go online, we're seeing much greater differences with the algorithm and retailers' objectives sort of changing a lot. So there's a very different digital shelf. And then what we're also seeing is that shelf, every retailer is changing weekly, it's changing daily, often even more frequently than that, every hour as well. So every time a shopper logs on to the store, they're seeing a completely different shelf, completely different competitor set, and often brands, products that they're not used to buying. And so that's not really lending itself to driving brands or driving habits as well. However, we think we can drive that loyalty, we think we can drive those habits, and we know that shoppers like it. We're quite habitual creatures, consumers and shoppers, and so we can really tap into that. We know, depending on the missions that they're going online for, that actually shoppers will often, about a third of shoppers will visit previously purchased or favorite items to help them shortcut to those products. And we know that typically a shopper will have in a cupboard and will have in a basket, similar types of products week after week as well. So if we can get into that regular basket, then it's a great way to end up with loyalty as well. Obviously, digital itself, it's got loads of great tools or capabilities that we can drive that are really shopper-centric. We know that shoppers are using subscribe and save, either directly with brands or on different platforms on pure play as well. But what we need to do is look at how do we move beyond just sort of scroll and save being about low prices, with a much more positive view, mutual view, where it's about convenience and then serving shoppers as well. And that's the type of things about how do we use digital capabilities in a way that's really shopper centric but mutual for everyone. Okay. To you, Rob.
Despite their different strategies, both FMCG and retail loyalty programs are working towards the same outcomes, driving incremental sales, repeat purchase, increasing customer lifetime value, protect margins. They aim to reduce acquisition costs, improve marketing ROI, build data-rich understanding of the customers through zero and first-party insights. The path may differ, but the destination is shared. And over to you, Sarah, for the poll.
Fantastic. So we do have a poll for everybody in the audience listening in. So this should be showing up on your screen now. The question is, what is the biggest challenge FMCG brands face when building loyalty? Is it access to shopper data, driving repeat purchases without pricing control, creating emotional engagement beyond discounts, standing out amongst multiple loyalty programs, or integrating with retail platforms and apps? So what is the biggest challenge FMCG brands face when building loyalty? It looks like we have almost the majority of the votes in now, so I'll give it a few more seconds and then we can launch the results live on the screen as well. Fantastic. So we've got most of the results in. So what I will do now is show these results on the screen. So 24% of attendees felt it was access to shopper data. 32% feel it's driving repeat purchases without pricing control. 44% say that is creating emotional engagement beyond discounts. 32% standing out amongst multiple loyalty programs, and 28% integrating with retailer platforms. So a very interesting mixed bag there. I'd love to know what you both think there, Rob and Matt. Maybe let's start with you, Matt.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see the mix. I think it shows there is a mixture of challenges that we have to address and the different ways to address those. But yeah, I agree. I suppose if it's the winner, we call it the winner, but emotional engagement, that's certainly from a brand perspective where we're trying to go. So hopefully, as we go through this session, actually, we can give some tips or some ideas as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And Rob, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I think your presentation has come out of presenter mode.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll try and sort that out.
No worries, just that little icon to start the slideshow again would be fine.
So yeah,
there we go.
No huge surprises there. All the different challenges faced. There's not a great deal to choose amongst them, but I think pricing control for me is something certainly I hear a lot about.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'll move on. So how do FMCG programs compete? Well, we don't profess to have the definitive answers, but we do have a few thoughts. Everything starts with experience. The rewards need to be fast. They need to be simple. They need to offer immediate value. Think mobile first, push notifications, QR codes, low friction redemption and user experiences. And you need to be rewarding more than just transactions. Incentivize sharing, reward, more than transactions. Create an experience that's light on effort, but rich in value. These are proven winning strategies in today's mobile world. Personalization is also going to be key. Shoppers expect offers that reflect their preferences and values, whether it's vegan product or personalized birthday perks. It must feel relevant. You need to go beyond discounts, offer exclusive recipes or experiences that reinforce why the customer chose your brand in the first place. And this is for you, Matt, to talk about your experiences.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah. And I agree, it's great that you're talking about that user X and personalization, because that's where we're trying to work with our retailers about how do we look at what loyalty, well, how do we look at brands and the categories slightly differently, and then try and get them to look at different metrics in terms of what success is. And I think in terms of digital, we're really focused on, clicks and time of shopping, and then we could really look at different ways. And what we're trying to do within the digital space is really speak to our retailers about impulse and how do they think about impulse. So of course, at Mars, we're probably known, or hopefully we're known as a manufacturer of tasty treats and snacks, but also what we refer to ourselves as an impulse business. And actually what we're really good at is think about how do we generate impulsivity with our consumers and shoppers. So creating those sort of moments of magic, whether they're at home or whether they're in the retail space, so that they want to purchase a category as well. And actually, when we think about impulse, when we look at online or digital shopping, what we're seeing is that when a category is purchased, actually at the moment about 2/3 of the purchasing is what we would consider planned. So this is when a shopper planned to purchase us. We're on the shopping list. And then so they've gone onto the search bar, typed in chocolate, seen some chocolate, added chocolate. And obviously that shows the importance of search, and we're obviously looking at that and how do we win that and gain that. But actually what we're really trying to do is think about the overall shopper journey, think about the full site as well. So really thinking about what else we can do during that shopper journey to really sort of drive that impulsivity and look at those different sort of areas that we could interrupt, engage the shopper as well, and really sort of give that a better user experience. Actually, it's interesting that you use the word friction, and we know that a lot of the external thinking out there is that friction is bad, and we often see that. But actually, what we know from an impulse business is that actually maybe friction can be a good thing, and it can be good for shoppers, and it can be good for sales. We know that if we can slow down shoppers a little bit, then actually they're more likely to be browsing, they're more likely to notice things, and therefore they're more likely to add items and impulse items into their basket as well. And so this is what we're trying to do when we're looking at sort of online metrics, is that actually more clicks, more time shopping can be a good thing, because actually what that means is engagement. And that's what we're trying to talk about with our retailers, about that mindset as well. And then we look at how do we sort of get that engagement, get that emotional attachment. Then of course it's personalizing it, customizing it, but the end goal is really to get that relevance and then really driving it as well. And that obviously with the data that's out there, the sort of the flexibility of digital, we've got a great opportunity to do this. We know obviously that all shoppers like rewards, incentives, special offers and prices, but also we know that even more will be happy to share the data as they are by signing up to these loyalty schemes, if it means that those rewards are more personalized and tailored to their needs and not just a random offer that they're getting as well. And so with this, we can really look at how do we maximize and drive these. The way that we, and it's great that we got the emotional engagement in the poll as the top option, the way that we can really do this is really tapping into shoppers' needs and behaviors as well. And that's what we look to do with our retailers. So what are those moments that shoppers are looking for? What are those everyday occasions, be it a movie night or sort of friends coming around, or those special occasions, season occasions, cultural events, sporting events, essentially football was on last night, what are events like those? And those types of great opportunities that we can really tap into as well. And this is where, we can really partner with retailers using that data to really sort of partner with it as well. But I think a lesson or something that we're seeing is that, we need to move also away from sort of demographics, who the shopper is, and really looking at actually what their needs and their behaviors, taking more of a missions or moments lens as well. So for us, it's a huge opportunity. We want to collaborate to make sort of retailer sites and apps more of a destination, much more engaging.
Cool. Community building. Loyalty deepens when shoppers feel part of something bigger. Community forums, storytelling, social sharing, challenges create an emotional connection. Leaderboards and recognition tap into healthy competition and a sense of belonging. Brands that build communities foster not just loyalty, but advocacy. Gamification is no longer a buzzword. It's a proven method of adding excitement and stickiness to loyalty. Games from spin to win to augmented reality will take the user on missions to unlock new levels, ensuring members are engaged and entertained. It appeals across demographics. Gen Z crave novelty, interaction, whereas older generations seek value. Gamified tasks are delivering both, but more frequent brand interaction. The rewards need to be redeemed quickly, and they need to be worth it. They need to reflect the brand's values as well as the shopper's preferences. Think instant redemptions, omnichannel accessibility, and rewards for behaviors and feedback like referrals. When done right, digital rewards will deliver personal, purposeful moments and long-term loyalty. Partnerships and integrations are also key. To increase the impact, FMCG loyalty programs need to look at integrating with retailer apps for added incentives like cashback or bonus points. Building alliances with complementary programs increases reach, while linking to everyday tools like delivery, finance, entertainment, and boosting relevance and convenience. The ASDA program offers us some excellent examples of how brands and retailers can connect within these programs.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob. So I think it's good about how retailers are looking at that inspiration and engagement, and that's where we see the sort of the next steps of where we want to go. And so we know, I think we all know that shoppers are going online using their phones and their mobiles to seek for inspiration. They're going to Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and all the other exciting young stuff that people do nowadays as well. But I think it's fair to say is that they're going to other places to get this inspiration. They are not going to grocery retail, quite frankly, to look for that inspiration as well. And that's where we're losing potential shoppers, we're losing consumers, and we're losing that traffic as well. So for us, we see there's a huge opportunity of making retail sites much more engaging to shoppers. And we see the potential there of it will drive traffic, so driving more consumers or shoppers to those sites, which give us much more opportunity to convert and drive those sales. And it's a mutual opportunity as well, because actually brands are what shoppers are interested in. That's what they want to connect and spend time with. And so it's a great opportunity for us to build our brand equity, but in partnership with the retailers to drive traffic to those retailers as well. And so we can really maximize, think about the brand, the content, those sorts of activation ideas onto these sites to make those engaging as well as a first step. And of course, then as we look at that, so we look at how do we connect those longer journeys as well. And I think that is really the next step, which is obviously happening now, but we can all get much better at. So our brands, obviously, as an example, we invest a lot in terms of producing content and sort of social content as well. And we can really look at how do we have sort of more gamification within those, or sort of interest areas that encourages those clicks, drive that traffic, but also encourage that sort of actions when they're on the site, which of course deliver those sales that we all want to drive as well. And of course, can't be a presentation I'm not without, but AI as well is really exciting. So the ability to sort of really tailor and personalize, the ability just to make things much more fun and exciting, but really just get that engagement. And we know when people are engaged, they're spending time, if they're happy, they're more likely to convert as well. And so there's a great opportunity that we can really drive. I just wanted to share an example, I suppose, of how this could come alive. So, got a scary picture there, but like the M&M's brand is a brand that we're obviously very proud and passionate about within Mars. It's a huge global brand. And I think it's a good example of what we can do. So as a brand, we actually, generally we sell through other retailer sites, but M&M's has its own retail space, mymms.com, and you can buy your standard M&M's products there, you can buy unique M&M's products there, but also there's an opportunity to have much more of a personalized experience, and these get personalized products. So you can probably see some personalized, some faces on here as well, but you can get M&M's of whatever colors you want, you can get different pictures, and you can even get your face imposed on an M&M's. If you're a little bit mad and want to eat your own face as well, you can do that. So perfect for all kinds of special occasions like presents, weddings, Christmas, etc. But also this, it's not just happening online. You can do this within our own retail outlets. We also have experiences in other retailers' outlets as well. So there's much more of an omni-channel experience going on, and looking at how we get those connections. Similarly, as another example, So we know that M&Ms and movies is a great combination as well. And so this is sort of the moments that we talk about. And then so over a number of years, we've been tapping into this moment, looking strategically how we drive it. But what's really exciting is that we can work individually with retailers as well. So as the brand is doing sort of more national campaigns, retailers can use their data, work with their own shoppers, their customer data, and have much more tailored activations, be it competition, prizes, gamification as well. So it's a great way that we can sort of partner and sort of collaborate in these areas as well.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
So, last but not least on our list of how FMCG and retail FMCG can catch up with retail is data. FMCG and retail programs both can capture rich shopper data, albeit in different ways, but they should look to include where and when, how purchases are made, what products and quantities are being bought, the total and brand specific spend. This then enables analysis of brand share, competitor presence, and basket level dynamics. The data also supports deeper insights, such as retailer specific trends, customer segmentation, and personalized engagement, essential for driving strategic decisions and loyalty effectiveness. Okay, so I think we've got another poll, Sarah.
We do indeed. So here is our second poll for everyone listening in to participate in. What mechanics have been most effective for your brand? Receipt submission with rewards, gamified promotions such as spin to win, points-based programs, social engagement and user-generated content, or partnered offers via retail stores or apps. So what mechanics have been most effective for your brand? So I'll just give it a few more seconds for the rest of the attendees to submit their answers. And then again, I'll launch the results on the screen and we can see the results live. Fantastic. It looks like we've got most of the results in now. So I'm going to close the poll and share these results on the screen. So 35% receipt submission with rewards, 0% have said gamified promotions, 5% have said points-based programs, 35% have said social engagement and user-generated content, and 45% have said partnered offers via retail stores and apps. So interesting results there. Rob, what do you make of these results?
Yeah, very interesting. I'm interested that gamified didn't get more than it did. Yeah. I thought it would have done. Receipt, no surprises there with receipts. A colleague of mine coined a phrase the other day, which was, it gives you the visibility of the global POS, whereas retailers see their own POSs, receipts, but you find out where your product's being bought wherever they are. Social, no surprises there with social. It's huge. And yeah, partnered, because my background has both been in retail, fintech apps as well as FMCG. I can see how that's important as well.
Fantastic. And Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, probably no surprises, as Rob says, but I suppose poor old gamification not getting a vote. But it's probably not a surprise as like the biggest opportunity. But I think certainly as part of the toolkit that we can have to really engage shoppers, I think I can see there's a question coming up in terms of AI. Like I think in terms of our ability to come up with new ideas and then sort of engage shoppers, it can be something that we can utilize more often, more frequently, sort of to generate that magic, make things a bit more interesting. I think what we don't want is just like same blank content all the time. Let's try and start surprising shoppers to get that interest coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear different perspectives on things. I think everyone's at different stages when it comes to this, and it's hard to see what to prioritize. So because of things like constantly evolving at the moment, I think it's a time to really sort of trial and error, if you agree. Try out things, see what works best for you. we do now have some time for questions from the audience, and we've got quite a few questions in, so I'm just gonna sort of sift through them now and pick out some of the most interesting ones. Of course, Matt, you know, you mentioned we can't have a presentation without talking about AI. So we did have a question from the audience. If you can share, do you have an example, or if not an example, some tips on how AI can actually boost engagement for your brand visibility?
Yeah, definitely. So there's probably a few ways that we look at it in terms of like how do we boost engagement. So I think one is in terms of our ability to manage data and analyze data to really identify those opportunities or shopper needs. So we have, like many people, we have sales data, our own sales data. We have retailer data that is often very separate. You know, we'll have some of our shopper insights as well, or in different sources. But we're looking at how do we combine all of these so that we get an overall sort of, I suppose, sales and marketing knowledge that we talk about. And so that really just helps bring the brand teams together with the sales and the customer teams to really get something where it is really get those activations going. I think another couple of areas is the ability to tailor content. So like everyone, like resources stretched, but what AI is really allowing us to do is generate a lot more content, but also a lot more better, more relevant content as well. So we don't just have a M&M's banner ad, but we're able to tailor it from the different retailers, different spaces, different times of day as well. And I think that relevance really gets that engagement and really sort of triggers that conversion and gets people more interested as well. And then there's just fun stuff. And that's probably, you know, where marketing and brands get really excited. There's a lot of fun things we can do. So we've got, you know, got examples of brands where we've, you know, used AI with like celebrities, making them say funny things or get sort of messages out there as well. And so there's, you know, there's the serious practical stuff, but you can just, as you say, Sarah, you can just experiment, have a bit of fun and see what works. And that's what consumer shoppers want. They just want to try something new when they're scrolling. If something's new and interesting, you know, some of them will give it a go, and it's a great way of just starting that relationship.
Fantastic, some great insights there. And Rob, anything to add? Otherwise, I do have a question for you from the audience as well.
No, just the only other things, I think AI is becoming more prevalent for brands for market research as well, in you know, finding out beforehand, before the campaigns go live, you know, what it is that customers want. And from our point of view, as a platform, you know, AI is becoming interesting and more relevant for negating fraud and things like that on recognition of you know, receipts and stuff like that. So it really is everywhere within businesses.
Yes, definitely becoming a game changer. So we have a question which is, with aiming for low friction as ways to redeem, there's a risk of too many redemptions, which in turn can exceed the budget that you may have. How can low friction consumer journeys how can you have low friction consumer journeys without the risk of overspending?
I would see a low friction journey would be taking out the things like the logins or the registrations. And I think the actual, you know, for example, just to a call to action to enter into a you know, an incentive scheme should be 2 or 3 clicks. And it is now in a lot of cases, whereas, you know, 5-10 years ago it was maybe 10 or 15 or something like that, and you'd have to, it was very clunky. You'd have to jump from one platform to another, logging in and logging out and that kind of thing. So I think when we talk about low friction user experiences, I think really that's what I think of. It is, you know, the sooner, and we talked about experiences, customer experiences during the presentation, which is key, and it does need to be very quick now. But I don't think that will increase the number of redemptions, so a campaign becomes unmanageable or it becomes over budget. These things can always be managed, you know, by a budget capped campaign, for example, which is easy to do, or you know, there are partners out there that deal with insurance for things like that. But no, I think that it's better to have less friction because that gets more engagement. You know, that's what I'd say.
Fantastic, some great tips there, thank you. And for Matt, we have a question for you, because obviously you were mentioning now that the shopper is now the omni shopper. So what do you feel are the biggest challenges and opportunities when with larger campaigns from store to online to make them really omnichannel? So, you know, with the environment and shopping routes being so difficult, it can be difficult to translate these campaigns. So how do you sort of tackle this at Mars?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we're still tackling it, and obviously we're still working on it. So we're not, you know, we haven't got the final answers, and we probably never will. But I think one of the considerations that we're playing with and focusing on right now is the balance between consistency and tailoring communication. So actually, just in my previous answer, we talked about the ability to really tailor. You know, we can tailor content really quickly, you know, really cheaply. Yeah. You know, you can do it from retailer by retailer, but you can do it by time of day. But also, digital, of course, you can tailor it for different parts of a site. So the home page versus a category page versus the e-checkout versus different locations in store as well. And we know that tailoring, if you do it well, so in terms of what the shopper needs, what they're open to, so in terms of, do you need to convert them more? Do you just need their attention more? That can work. But also, yeah, there's a challenge that if you just do it everywhere with different content, different imagery, then it's just a bit of a muddle. And what it loses is that consistency. Because what we do know, of course, is consistency. That's what drives that impact. It gets people to remember it, gets absorbed by the consumer shoppers as well. So I suppose that's the biggest challenge. You know, we're sort of going for a message of consistency, but tailor where you're confident, and then that's the sort of overarching thing that we're trying to get, and hopefully you'll see that with our brands as well. I suppose the other big challenge is lots of different partners, you know, different retail media, different buying, and so how do we pull all that together and make those right decisions? I think lots of people, like everyone's fighting for money, and where do we measure the impact? Where do we really invest? And that's sort of that combination of sort of relationships with retailers versus actually where do we get the data, or where do we feel there's an opportunity but we may not have the data as the other consideration. And so again, using AI, using data to try and unlock those answers is where we're currently focusing as well.
Fantastic, definitely sounds very exciting. I know it's a rapidly evolving space, so we're going to continue to watch this space with you and with Mars as well, Matt. And yeah, you talked a bit about loyalty and the importance of data. So that brings me on to another question for you, Rob. How does Snipp actually help brands with loyalty and with their data, you know, from first or zero party data? What are the ways in which you can help some of the FMCGs with that?
Well, it's crucial. I mean, the whole idea of a loyalty program is, you know, for you to have more insights on your customers. You know, your customer agrees to share the the behavioural habits with the brand, and in return for that, the brand can learn more about their customers. So that the more that you know about your customers, the more effective the program will be. And not just about how your customers are interacting with your own brand, but a lot of the clients that we deal with now, you know, they get insights into how their customers are interacting with competitor brands in retailers, because, you know, they're getting to upload receipts from competitor supermarkets for reward and things like that. So it gives them great insights into finding out why are our loyal customers, you know, sometimes shopping in other places. What is it that they're buying there that you know, we're not selling to them? And is it because of price? Is it because of product? Is it because of brand? And these insights are, you know, increasing the loyalty of their already loyal members. So there's infinite number of ways that, you know, and it's constantly evolving and it's constantly growing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you touched a bit on your receipt scanning and how that bridges the gap between offline purchases and digital engagement. Um, so what are some of the ways that maybe you could share a couple of examples of how Snipp is evolving its capabilities? So, you know, going beyond just verifying transaction now, but really getting that deeper consumer insights or driving more ongoing loyalty beyond those initial scans.
Well, the humble receipt gives you a world of information. For many years, I worked in apps and mobile technology, and when geofencing came along, that gave us the ability to track one of our app users' movements. So we could, you know, there was points where we'd see them. We could build up a picture of our app users, whether they like to go on football grounds or cinemas. And we'd run campaigns for pizza brands where we could do a push notification when we knew customers were coming out of the cinema at a certain time. And these were highly effective. They used to get 25% click-through rates back then. It was fantastic. But we're able to do all this from the receipts as well, because the amount of information that we get from receipts is not just the basket, the contents of the basket, the valuations. It's time, it's location, it's where they are. It's also how they're paying. Are they paying with card or are they paying with cash? So it gives you a whole world of information that then you can use back. And I've been really impressed by, you know, the sophistication of Snipp's technology, and also what the brands are able to see on their dashboards, how that data is all then collated in for, you know, for an easy to use for the marketeers.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And I think we have time for one more question. So I've got a question that would love to hear from both of you on. So Matt, let's start with you. Obviously, you're on the brand side. You work very closely with the retailers, and you mentioned some of these campaigns that you execute, of course, through the retailers at times as well. So who truly owns the customer relationship? Would you say it's that the retailer is offering the reward, the brand's creating the desire, or is it both?
Okay. It is both, but yeah, it's a great question, great philosophical question. I would say actually at the moment it's probably more the retailer at the moment, but it is a challenge and a risk that we're facing. So of course the retailer sets the digital shelf. We talked about that, you know, they choose what the consumer shopper's seen, and so they can decide essentially what products they buy at what prices in terms of what's doing it. But I think for us, actually, we're forgetting that the consumer shopper has a lot of power, and that mobile phone is very powerful as well. So we know that actually quite a scary amount of the category online is being bought other than retail store, grocery retail stores. So they're buying it obviously on Amazon and marketplaces, and they're going to places like TikTok. And then that's because shoppers, you know, they're not inspired by what they're seeing on grocery sites, so they're not finding what they want to do as well. And so that mobile phone is very powerful. And actually, you know, I think as more consumer shoppers start going to other locations, then I think, you know, we're just going to see more sort of shifting or shared that way as well. So I think there's a sweet spot that we can find. Like trust is really important, and that's where big retailers, brands can play a key role. You know, if we serve the needs of the shoppers, and we've got that beautiful Venn diagram of the shopper in the middle, sort of all being served. So we can do it. And I think it's, yeah, let's not just rely on algorithms online. Let's look at how do we really engage the shopper as well.
Well, that's a great perspective on it, Matt. Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
Rob, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Matt said there, and I just think sometimes it's like watching a very closely contested race. Sometimes the brands, you know, are a little bit ahead of retailers with really clever campaigns and technology. Yeah. Then sometimes, you know, you're sideswiped by something you didn't expect from you know, the general public, the customers. They tend to react to something that maybe they didn't think of. So yeah, it's just like it's constantly one catching up to the other. Really fascinating.
Thank you. I think the main takeaway from that is it's all about collaboration, right? So collaboration between the retailers and the suppliers, but also collaboration with external parties like yourself that can help you to understand the shopper better, engage with them, set up and execute successful campaigns. So I think my key takeaway from this is all about collaboration. And yeah, I think we've come to the end of our webinar now. So would like to thank you both, Rob and Matt, for your very interesting insights. We can all review the slides. As I mentioned, you'll be receiving a follow-up email from me 24 hours from now. So thank you both again for your insights, and thank you to everyone for listening in live. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar and look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.